Hi, I'm Leah, the Mystic Autistic, and we're here for episode 5 of Empower Your Magical Self. My guest today is Ana del Castillo. She, among many other things, is a rightness expert and certified coach with over 20 years of experience working with men and women who have great lives but still always feel like there's something wrong. By addressing the underlying source of their suffering, Ana creates transformative experiences for her clients so they can own their inherent rightness and feel vital and alive in their skin and lives again. This is cluster B personality disorders. I was not familiar with that, but I did not want to stop her to ask her what she was talking about. So I looked it up. It's a really fascinating reading. I'm not going to go into it all, but I do encourage you to look it up. It's super visible on Google. Cluster B personality disorders. It's a really interesting thing to read about. And I think, wow, I think that might have been my deal when I was a youngster. I don't know. It's a lot to overcome and a lot to think about. But Ana was very open about her struggle with them, and it sounds very familiar to me. So check it out. Maybe you'll learn something and it will resonate with you. Ana has a really great story, and she has a wonderful way of looking at life. And besides that, she's just got a great speaking voice. So she's hella good to listen to. I hope that you will hang in here and listen to this, the 5th episode of my podcast, Empower Your Magical Self. It's such an honor to have you here.
Oh, I just switched things. I because this is not my computer and we're doing Google. Great. I just rearranged it so that I know what the hell I'm doing. Yay!
I love it when that happens. I love it. I think we're both 70s babies. So we're
8.
You're what now?
68.
Oh, you're 60. So you're a little bit older than me. I just turned 50, and I'm finding this to be the time. How about you? What do you think about the 50s?
50s is like all of the pressure of getting married or doing all the crap and all of the attention that you're paid in your teens, 20s, even 30s,
right, falls
away, and it's like more comfort in your skin and just much better to be, especially taking care of yourself. You know, it's like
right. So many of the things that you just named that are so great about being in my 50s, I find were the very things that I feared so much when I was younger. And that's just a beautiful, ironic ball of wax there to me.
Yes.
So I would love to hear just a little bit about what is it that you do with your beautiful, precious life?
Well, I mean, that's a really great question, actually. So everywhere I go, everything I do, my focus is always on how do I change the conversation with women? How do I encourage, support, push, empower, raise up women to be authentically, fully, unapologetically, unashamedly who we are and take up full space. I'm what I call myself a rightness expert, and I'm a certified coach, and I have a whole bunch of other modalities that I'm trauma informed and trauma trained, and then the other things that I do that gets to be expressed in is I do public speaking. I'm soon to be I'm already a published writer, but my book is coming out, How to Unproblem Your Problem, hopefully in the next month. I also coach and teach, and with my husband, and also my side, where I just anything and everything.
I love it. And you're a great writer as well.
Yes.
I love your writings on Medium. I also write on Medium.
Also, Emma, I mean, at this point, sort of a social media influencer at this point.
You are. It's true.
Facto, mid-tier influencer.
And I love that because it's, I have found it, the algorithm, right? The algorithm sucks. Oh, the algorithm. I know, right? So many people, like I've encountered young men that's like, oh, I can't get on Instagram because all they show me is, sexy young women. And I'm like, young man, do you understand?
Know thyself, my friend.
And the converse is true for me. All I find on social media are women like yourself who are lifting me up, telling me, hey, you want to try belly dancing? That's my new thing. And I'm like, hell yeah, let me try it. So I love, and I see that as part of like the magic of you and other women who I look up to and respect, is like they're like weaving this energy blanket that I see. Do you feel that way too?
I feel when someone says you're one of my favorites and then they name people who I personally admire, I like get teary-eyed, and I get very excited. And then also I think of us all, and you included, I think of us all as if what the world is right now, which is hierarchical, right? Patriarchy is all about like, who's on top and who's on the bottom and all the ones in between, and who's going to hoard all the power and who's going to take. If that's what the undercurrent of all of this is, for me, my vision, and I know it's true for all the other women that I'm colleagues with and that are doing this as well, is that we have this vision of being locked arm in arm, so that it's just a line of like, for me, my vision is like an army of women, but we're not killing everybody. We're like, we're literally just like grabbing women as we go, and we're just like getting us all strong and like, come on, you come along. And so
it's liquid, isn't it? It's like we're all just flowing.
Yeah.
I love it.
Hopefully.
Yeah. So I would love to know more about your origin story. I don't want to like get into any trauma.
The whole entire talk. So I'm going to give you
please do give me the bullet points, because I know that you, for one thing, you have the most amazing voice. Your voice is very, very beautiful and soothing. And I think that it drew me in. It draws people in. I'm autistic and I have like sensory issues and things I'm very sensitive to sounds and such. And your voice is so soothing to me. And I know that you have a background in theater and singing.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
It's touching to hear. Thank you.
Good.
Appreciate that. I'm going to give you and your listeners a Reader's Digest version, and the reason why I want to say something about the Reader's Digest version is I'm going to say some very serious things, and it's going to sound flippant and casual, and I promise you none of it was flippant or casual. But for the purpose of this conversation, I'm going to give you a very condensed version of a much larger and much more dramatic story. So
understood.
Growing up, I was, like a lot of us growing up, or some of us, I was in a really challenging and violent and sexually violent upbringing. Starting at 5 years old, I was introduced to violence and sex by my father, who almost killed me. And that continued. Certainly the violence continued. My mother did nothing. She expected me to protect her, even though my father never laid a hand on her. I was not in great shape. Most of the time when someone's in that kind of situation, you go in one of three directions, which is one of the cluster Bs. I managed to get, two of them. I was like, especially as I got into my teenage years, when I was younger, I was more schizoid, which meant that I just disappeared. I just wouldn't speak. People thought that I was, had some developmental issues and stuff like that. And then when I got into puberty, I became more malignant, more narcissistic adaptations, meaning I just didn't have a lot of empathy, didn't have the capacity for any of that stuff. I was like rubber. Anyway, was sort of not doing well, suicidal, tried to, that got me into therapy. And I was in therapy for a long time, but I wasn't really going to break through any of the stuff that like had been developed. I sort of had Kevlar. But I was still dynamic. I wanted to be an actress and a singer from a very early age, and somehow found the courage to do that. Moved to New York when I was 21, and set my sights on the show Les Mis, because it was the first show that I saw, and I was like, oh my God, I have to do the show, and was in it, and was touring the country, did a one-person show, was also in a number of other shows. And then while I was on the road, my father and my brother were both murdered in a gangland style killing. So it was pretty compound traumas. And at that point, because my house wasn't really built on pretty strong foundation, the whole structure fell down. And so I had to learn, like, whatever defenses put me together in the first place, I did not have them. I could not put my narcissistic defenses back. I ended up, having my schizoid tendencies came back, which was just, and also panic, and also. So I put myself back together again by pure like spit desperation. And I at some point decided I wanted to live, because when I gave myself free rein, I didn't die. And so I didn't go and actively do that. So I learned at a time when trauma was not like the internet, and trauma informed everything, and books and stuff like that were not around. And so I did it from the ground up and did a whole bunch of very interesting, great, odd, all helpful in the box and out of the box, and very, weird modalities. And it led me to literally knowing how to look at a person, be with people's trauma, and just know exactly where they are on their own map of shattered, and just like say, this is where you are, and then let's Sherpa you all the way through and get whole.
I love that term Sherping. It's on your website too, and it's just very evocative and very it paints a good picture, and it really, I can't think of another word that would take its place as well. So good word choice there. I like that. I'm big on words. I'm a writer, so that really stuck out to me. Yeah. Would you say to any woman who is where you were or where I was, who is just like, I'm about to be at the end of my rope here. What is one thing that person could do to like just maybe even just buy herself a little bit of time, to just get her heart right, get her mind together somehow? Where do you start with that?
Well, I'm not exactly sure where on the journey you're at, because you said a number of things, and there are different things I would say at different parts of that journey.
Sure.
If you are at the age where you're younger, I can't even imagine you'd be listening to something like this. But if you are in a place where you know everything and you're tough and everybody can go fuck off, then I think you should have a good time.
Is that right?
You should literally do you for as long as you can, because once that persona and that defense mechanism ceases to be viable, you can't go back. And if this is the thing that is protecting you, and if this is the thing that is keeping you upright, then you just continue being you.
Yeah.
I am 100% certain, 100% certain that those defenses are necessary for your survival. So you continue to survive, my love. Yeah. If it's a person who is at a desperate spot where those defenses don't work anymore, and they're at their wits' end, but they don't know what the next thing is, first breathe. Like, just breathe. I get teary-eyed thinking about that moment. I'm sorry that you are at this spot. Like, my heart breaks for you. I know what it feels like to be at the end of that particular rope, and you literally feel like you're going to die, but somehow you're still alive, and you don't, and nobody knows the island that you're on. You can't even tell people what's going on, because you'll explode or die or lose control of something.
Yeah.
So I just want you to know that I understand, that Leah's here also, and she's nodding, and she understands as well. And that there are millions of us out there that understand deeply, deeply what you're experiencing. If you are able to, even if you have no money, call. When I had nothing, I would call the suicide prevention hotline, and I swear to you, that's what I would do. And I would just talk to someone, because I didn't have anybody. So talk to someone, anyone, someone who's kind. The moment someone isn't kind, run in the opposite direction. You need someone who could actually be with all of you.
Right.
Follow people who have some like geographical, meaning that they understand the geography that you're on. Mm-hmm. Some geographical resonance and understanding.
Right.
Read books, listen to podcasts, get a therapist who's trauma informed if you can. Mm-hmm. There's a whole bunch of other things, but if you can, please don't give up.
Right. Now, I have never, even though I've been in that place so many times, I have never called a suicide hotline.
I have.
So I want to know, do, if you call them, because I've always worried about this, are the police going to come to my house?
No.
Okay. Okay. I just wanted to get that out of the way right there because that was always a fear of mine when I was in that place.
Unless they're going to ask you if you have a plan, you know,
Mm-hmm.
they're going to ask you where you're at. If you're at the threshold of I'm on the bridge and I'm going to, and I've got a plan and I'm going to, then responsibly they're going to. But if you're just, I'm in a bad space right now and I really want to die. Do you have a plan? No.
Okay. They're not going to come get you.
No.
It's a fear, you know.
It's a
valid fear.
legitimate fear. It's a legitimate fear and it's a valid fear. I think that's a really great question.
Yeah, yeah.
I want you to know that the first time I ever called, they hung up on me by accident.
Oh boy! Wow.
And I had, thank God, a sense of humor enough to laugh, and that was actually a really good moment for me.
So, what do you do on a day-to-day for your own spiritual magic to keep yourself like lifted and high and good on a good vibe?
So just like a lot of us, I've had a nervous system that is revved high. So my priority, the more adult things I do in the world, and what I mean by that is the more responsibility I have, and I think that that's adult to have responsibilities. If you're at a place in your life where even getting out of bed is really, really challenging, then we have to like start really, really slow and small. Do you know what I mean? And like
absolutely.
But I'm at a point where I'm like, okay, I'm having more and more responsibility, and my job first and foremost is to take care of me here before I can take care of anybody else. So,
and that's a profound thing. I don't want to just gloss over that because especially for women, that's like, oh, I can't even, that's so gross. I can't think about putting myself before you know what I'm saying? I'm not saying this for me, but so many women are like, no, my children, my husband, my job comes first. And then if there's a little scrap left over.
No, my whole everything I say is the opposite of that. I can't take care of anybody. I will explode. And I will explode in a way that doesn't serve myself, my life, the people I love. It doesn't serve anything or anyone.
Yes.
If I implode or explode because I wasn't handling myself first. And so I get up and first thing I do is take a long walk. I take about an hour-long walk, and sunshine first thing in the morning, even if it's overcast, it does remarkable things to your mental well-being. And then I do a cold plunge. I don't have a fancy setup. We have a bathtub and I have some freezer things, and we put it before I go on my walk, I put them inside the full bathtub, and I go, and then I take them out, and then I plunge myself into freezing frigid fucking water.
Wow.
For about 15 minutes or something like that. And that also has had a profound effect on my nervous system. My nervous system, long-term, because you're putting yourself in consciously like an elevated state, long-term, your state goes down. And so I do those two things. The other thing I do also is something called, sometimes if I've got something on my mind, I do something called EFT or tapping.
Yes, I'm a huge tapper. I talk about tapping all the time.
So tapping is one of those like things that people either get it or they don't. I get it. And so I do. People are like, this is stupid. What am I doing? Just do it. And
also, what I find with tapping is they're like, well, I'm not paying anybody for anything. How could this work? I find that so many people have outsourced their wellness to the degree that they're like, well, how can me doing it? I need to pay somebody to do it. It's like,
well, can I say something?
No.
Yeah,
of course.
About that. So that's the difference between like how responsible we can be for ourselves. Some of us need mothering and fathering. And so we need to pay people to bring us through that because we're not quite ready to mother or father ourselves yet. And so if you are paying someone and you need someone to, to pay someone to do that, then no shame on you if you need to do that.
That's true.
You're getting to the place, hopefully, where you're heading, where you want to head to is to be able to okay, I'm gonna, get out of the nest. I'm gonna fly on my own. Okay. But that's what I do. I do some EFT. check what my schedule is. I usually do it the night before, but then I also check my schedule in the morning and check a couple of things. But for the most part, I need mornings to myself. I do a smoothie. I do some stretches. I like really take care of myself.
Right.
And then after that is when I start the day.
Yeah. That's kind of close to what I do myself. I'm very fortunate not to have to stick to somebody else's schedule. It's such a blessing, especially, well, I don't know, I won't say especially but for a very sensitive autistic person, it's extremely difficult to stick to other people's schedules, especially if I have to go and be in an office. That's just not something that I can handle. So
system starts to be like,
I know, right? I can see you twitching. Yeah. It's the same kind of way for me. I can't do it
I'm
either.
unemployable at this point. I
really am too. I know. It's the same thing with me. And that's younger women watching. It's something to get toward, right? Get to the point where you can no longer bear to work for somebody. Yeah. It sounds like a horrible place to be, but it's not actually.
Nowadays,
it's very freeing.
Where the revolution is going and where the world is going. It's like, what do you want to be, a bebetter cog? The reason why everybody's striking and the reason why everybody is like, well, I can't find anybody to work. No, nobody wants to work slave laborers. No,
exactly.
Like they don't want to, like, wages are just like, no. You're making billions while you're paying your people like nothing. No. Now, mind you, I'm in a privileged position. If you're able to do your own thing, you're in a privileged position. And I've been in situations where I was like, I don't have any money and I don't know what the hell I'm going to do, and I have to just sink or swim or figure out. So I have some moxie and courage. And courage doesn't mean that I'm not afraid. I just means that I'm able to sort of hold fear and still do stuff,
Mm-hmm.
So but yeah, if you can swing it, don't put yourself in a round when you're a square. Like, please don't do that. Don't suffer yourself that way.
Yeah, it nearly killed me because I hated myself for not being able to do it so much. And that's the trap that you get into. And I think even I was making a fairly good salary. I got fired and was just like, okay, this is it. This is the end. I'm at, I took, to say a huge pay cut is making money to making nothing.
To go from a paycheck to none is like, yeah, I would say that
100%. It's better, and it's enabled me to really find my happiness. So sometimes people do have to take that leap where it looks like you're leaping into absolute nothingness.
Or get shoved. Yes,
you
got fired. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. So how can someone, we sort of touched on this already, but how can someone empower themselves? How can someone take power in themselves?
Oh, so you were just saying before about how someone goes, no, I want to pay other people to do that for me.
Right.
So that's a way that we have someone hold our power for a while until we can hold it ourselves. So along those same lines, and then that's actually a healthy way to do it. Sure. There are all kinds of ways that we don't do it so healthy. And what I mean by that is we just want our spouse or our partner to take care of us. We want a parent, or we want the government, or we want, we're angry because we're not getting taken care of, or there's a way in which we feel powerless because of something that's happened to us, because of someone that did something to us, because someone's not doing what we want them to do, blah, 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 et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's easy to happen. Some of us have had really terrible things go on. There are some of us that are really suffering with genuine traumatic things that weigh on us. The way to empower yourself inside of that is to take, especially if you've got a boatload of things that you're working with, take one area of your life, just one. I don't even care what it is. Like if you're someone who has a hard time getting out of bed, how to empower yourself inside of that is throw away everything else. Because a lot of times we don't want to get out of bed because there are 1,700 things that we've got to do, and it just all feels overwhelming. So just pick one thing, do that for 3 weeks straight. Just do that one thing. Pick up a 2-pound weight. And what I mean by that is metaphorically. You don't pick up a 100-pound metaphoric weight. Right. You pick up the 2-pound weight. Just get out of bed and make your bed. And celebrate the shit out of that. I fucking did that, man. Look at me. I might have not have done everything. And that's another thing is you tell yourself certain things like, I may not be where I want to be, but at least I'm a step ahead. At least I'm one step further than I was before. You celebrate that win. And then you empowered yourself in that one little area. And then you get that consistently in your bones. And then you pick up the next weight and you go, all right, I'm going to take that on. I'm going to stop putting it in someone else's hands and I'm going to actually take it and own it as mine. And then I'm going to do it. And I'm going to stop blaming other people. I'm going to stop blaming the world. I'm going to stop blaming everybody else. And I'm just going to do it. And there's a lot of people to blame. And there's a lot of people who did fucked up things. There's a lot of things that are going on. You are right. But you are also right. You just have to figure out which right you want to stand in. You are right if you say, I can't do anything about that, but I can do something about this. And so I'm going to. Yeah. And that's how you empower yourself little by little by little by little, is that you take ownership of the thing and then you do it. And you do it even when you sort of don't feel like it, even when you don't like you just, that's what ownership is. Like there are people who are like Olympic athletes who don't really feel like getting up in Minnesota in the middle of the winter at 4 o'clock in the morning and going swimming. Trust me when I tell you that they don't feel like doing that, but they do it because they have some sort of larger commitment. And they didn't start doing it from that level. They started doing it from just like jumping in the pool. I really like this. I really love this pool. This is amazing. I love swimming, you know? So you just do it little by little. I don't care where you start, but you start small and then you celebrate that and then you do the next thing. So when I talk about Sherpa, I also talk about mapping where you are. So a lot of us know where we want to be, right? If you're someone who drinks or if you drain your account, you probably want to be someone who has lots of money and either can drink a lot and not be a problem, or like, you know, I wish I were just someone who didn't have to drink, or I wish I could just drink and it wouldn't be a problem. We know where we want to be, but very few of us know where we're starting. And because of that, we don't actually know where we are on the map. So we think sometimes we think we're better, we're more further along on the map, or we're worse. I'm the biggest piece of shit that ever walked the face. I'm the greatest thing that ever walked. I'm the biggest piece of shit that ever walked.
And so a lot of times that's both in us.
It's competing. The same thing. It's the same thing they're competing. And so because of that, there's no way to plug in your GPS. You don't actually plug in where you're starting. Your GPS can't actually get you where you're going. Okay.
I'm either at the bottom of the ocean or the top of the mountain.
And you're not in
between there. I don't
things.
know.
And you're not in either of those things, but you're convinced at one point or the other in the black and white duality of those things.
Right.
So when I say celebrate, I mean genuinely celebrate. But there's got to be a reality of I'm drinking every day. I don't have any money. My life looks, it's not that you're a piece of shit. And it's not that you are the greatest thing that ever walked. You're neither of those things. You have the potential of being the most remarkable, perfect you. There's deep potential for that. But the only way to reach whatever that potential is to get very clear and focused on, I'm not doing okay right now. So first is a come to Jesus moment. If you're still inside of the trying to fix and then being like, this is pathetic, and you're back to, you should probably stay there for a little while until you reach some sort of bottom. And I hope that that bottom is gentle and high and not too low.
Right.
But I'm talking about if you actually genuinely are like in a place where I've reached my bottom. I'm like, what do I do next? I may not be where I want to be, but I made a bed today and I didn't drink. That is cause for fucking celebration. And how you celebrate is a little bit of a break between the cruelty of your brain, a break from that. You go to a walk. You go maybe have a little soup. Maybe you put on a pair of clean underwear. Maybe you brush your teeth. Maybe you play with the dog that you see outside. Maybe you be part of the world in some small, teeny way. But I'm talking about, I can't really talk to the ones that are still in the spiral.
Sure.
Does that make sense?
It absolutely does, because you couldn't have talked to me when I was in that spiral. As much as I admired you, I would have been like, well, that's good for other
Easy for
people, but
you. Yeah.
yeah, it's not me. That's,
Yeah.
yeah,
All I can do is love a person there and be like, having been deeply, intimately connected to the parts of me that were desperately holding on to some certainty
yeah,
and couldn't destabilize, could not afford to destabilize that.
yeah, yeah.
It is the difference between codependency and trying to save someone and just loving a person where they are and just being like, I can't really be that close to you while you're inside of this, but I'm over here when you want to do something. By like, if I can't stop myself from trying to fix you, that's not love. So I have to take a step back.
Right.
And the place where I could just take my hands off and be like, I love you. And from back here, it doesn't compel me to try to fix you, but I can love you while you're doing that. That's whatever distance that is, that's your boundary.
Right. Okay. That makes a lot of sense. That's, yeah. What is magic, in your opinion?
Well, magic to me is, magic is an interesting word to me because there's two places that my brain goes to when I think of magic. Magic, on the one hand, is sleight of hand. Mm-hmm. It's tricking someone. It's manipulating someone into believing something that's not true. Do you know? Mm-hmm. But when I think of magic, I think of the way someone does something that for them is deeply easy. Like they make, like some people who could, like, I'm one of those people that could like go into a kitchen and turn 4 eggs and like salt and a noodle into something magical. Do you know what I mean? It just seems like magic. There are some people who could, like, you know, have you seen those designers that are like, oh, we just have to take away this and paint in something, and all of a sudden the house feels amazing. Right. There are people who, like, oh my God, I've watched women on freaking TikTok who, like, you know, take a hammer and a nail and whatever, and they've literally built a, like, to me, that's magic. Someone who actually has the kind of gift that can turn a pile of dirt into a home, like can transform, literally, not in some sleight of hand, manipulative lie way, but can genuinely turn, you know, flour and water into bread, you know, and then feed everybody. That to me is magic.
Right. And it's interesting to me that you hit on the word manipulative in that sense of sleight of hand, which I agree, and I totally see that. Another guest and I, the money, which we're talking about the fact, though, that the root of manipulative is, of course, hands and working with your hands. And so then to look at it another way, magic to me is energy. Everything is energy.
Yeah.
And really understanding that and getting in there and manipulating that energy, not in a
trying to get one over, but like in the other way that I was talking about, where it's like you actually turn something into you like transform it into something that's bigger than its like original parts.
Yeah, and just understanding, to me, the fact that everything is energy. And the fact that you're coming to me from another part of the country through this crazy screen. I mean, 100 years ago, our entire lives would be a magical dream.
I mean, talking on a phone, like literally, like being able to like just have like having so much information, that would have been just sorcery. That would have been magic.
A lighter would have been magic, for God's sake. So much has happened.
Fire,
Right. It is now, it kind of goes along with the Disneyfication of magic and people thinking, oh, magic isn't real. It's just sleight of hand. But it is real. It's what is beneath all of that. It's what we live with every day, but we don't have our eyes open to.
Yeah.
To me, that's magic, and it's been so magical for me through my
science is magical. Like the same stuff that is the stars is what we are as well. What we are the star. That's magic. That's genuine divine magic. You know, the fact that air can turn from like clear to mist to rain. Like that's magical. The fact that like a cell can divide and turn into organs and teeth and hair, and like that's magical. The way that a person just sitting with another human being and just their very presence can transform how a person feels. That's magical. The way music can have us shift our feelings. So much of it is magical. And there's, just like most words, they're depending on who's using it and depending on who's and what they're doing with it, can change the meaning of it.
Right. Your advice be, how do you find a therapist? What do you do?
Yeah. Well, I would first ask a couple of questions, and maybe you should ask yourself if you're, hypothetically the person,
Sure.
right? What's the issue that you want to have attention be put on? What's the thing that you're trying to solve? If it's something like money or trauma or dating or what else are there? Some like major things,
like anxiety, being so anxious around people.
All of those issues require different, like, if my car has a problem, I don't go to the banker for that.
Sure,
I go to the mechanic for that. If I have a javelin sticking out of my body, I don't go to the car wash. Do you know what I mean? I don't go to the manicurist for that, right? So you have to first understand what it is that you're wanting some attention on. And so then from there, you go, like, if you have anxiety, if you have something like sort of panic anxiety, stuff that keeps you up at night, stuff where you have a racing brain, I would highly encourage you to work with someone that is somatic based.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of therapies right now that do remarkable and much faster, effective healing. There is, I think, really exciting news about plant medicine and the combination of plant medicines and therapy. That I think that we're on the cusp of like a really big boom inside of that. I don't like the way pharmaceuticals are taking that and running with it. That's a whole other subject. But if you can find someone who is somatically trained, and there's all kinds of different places. Now, how do you find someone?
Let me just back up for just a second, because there are a lot of people who don't know what somatic means.
Somatic is body-based. So if you go to someone who is a talk therapist, right? Just like a person. Now, mind you, there's a difference between like a therapist, like people are like, well, what's the difference between like coaching and therapy? The reason why I love therapy, by the way, so like no shit on therapy. I used therapy for a long time. I did talk therapy, and then I did a lot of body-based therapies, and then but like therapy is really about looking at the past and resolving those past issues so that you could be present with all the energy that's stuck in the past. You can get all that energy more and more present so that you can use it in your future. A coach or someone like what I do is I use therapeutic things. Like, it's very similar, but our focus is the future. And so we're pointing towards the future, a thing that it is that you want. And as the past comes up, we are literally using all that stuff to resolve it, to bring it towards and to maximize it towards that future goal. We are goal oriented. And it could be as simple as like, I want to stop. I don't know. I have people who are like, I want to be able to speak up when I'm, with my husband, or I want to be able to do this dream that I've always wanted to do, or I've always wanted to, like, whatever. So if you're someone who has anxiety, that's a body. You're not going to really be able to affect your anxiety if you're talking all the time to a therapist. The best way to handle anxiety is through body-based things. And so if I were talking to you as a hypothetical person and I was working with you, I would be like, all right, let's do a couple of things. I would have you, first and foremost, I would definitely have you, like, if you don't have a bathtub or something like that, like do certain things that'll just scientifically have you start to eat better foods, make sure that you get the right vitamins, and you make sure, like, so much of it is just biology, like physiological stuff. But then also there's body-based stuff. If you can get something like Traeger is a relaxing, someone works on you and they just do these wave-like body motions, and your body naturally starts to like remember what it is to relax.
That's interesting. What is it?
Traeger, Traeger. Traeger.
That's interesting. I've never heard of that. Cool.
It's really great. There's not a lot of practitioners, but they're really great.
Cool.
There's certainly plant, I'm also a little bit particular about where and what. There's EFT. There's something that I've been training in recently, which I love, called Mindlight, which does a whole bunch of different modalities to get people to like sort of hack the way your brain processes and deals with and handles trauma and like resolves it a lot quicker. I would just do a lot more body-based therapeutic models, and find someone who knows about trauma, who's trauma informed. You're not anxious because you had a great childhood. You're probably anxious because there were some things that happened that sort of got you into fight or flight or freeze.
Yes. So a lot of people who are not delving into this every day
actually has real I'm actually pretty, if I could toot my own horn, for people who are like challenging to be with, who have like sort of some tendencies in the cluster B areas and stuff like that. I know how to like read in, but I can't make a difference inside of that if someone's like really attached to their persona.
Right.
But if you're like, I have a way of being that's getting in the way. If you have just that little opening, I have a way of being that's getting in the way. And little by little, you could trust another person who knows how to somatically in your body, like work with that, then you can actually in real time collapse that part and build up the real authentic you that doesn't need to defend the fuck to save their lives.
Yes. Yeah, and I think that so many people just are unaware that there is somatic therapy out there. So many people just assume if you say go to therapy, they mean sitting on a couch and talking, this bad thing happened, this bad thing happened, this bad thing, which was a dead end for me.
Yeah.
Personally, that was like a dead end. But I know that it works for a lot of people. But
it does.
I just want to say there's different kinds. There's things that can work for you. Just don't just go to another talk therapist. Just switch it up, right? Try something totally different. Wow, this has been an absolutely amazing conversation, Ana. I'm so grateful. I really appreciate it. And you're just
Thank you for asking.
Oh, thank you for agreeing. And I encourage everybody to look for you on the gram and you're on the Instagram, right? You are.
I'm on IG, I'm on TikTok, I'm on Facebook. My website is myrightness.com. I have a book coming out soon, and I hope to be continuing my path upwards. Right.
And that is the end of my interview with Ana del Castillo. This brings us to the end of episode 5 of Empower Your Magical Self. I feel empowered. I really, really loved talking to Ana, and I think that she is someone who anyone can learn a lot from. So I really encourage you to look her up, follow her, learn from her. She is a really open and fun human, and she definitely has a lot to share. Please join us next week when my guest will be the marvelous rap musician, high vibe, extravaganza, empress of cool that she is, Peachka. If you don't know her, you are in for such a treat. I'm just so excited. She's going to be joining me, and you're going to really love her. So I hope that you will tune in for episode 6 of Empower Your Magical Self. Until then, please get out there and empower your own magical self in whatever way you see fit. You're the only one who knows what magic is for you. You're the only one who can empower yourself. So get out there and make that happen. All right. I'll see you next time for episode 6.